What's going on, Jared?
How's it going, gentlemen?
Hey, what's up, Jared?
What's up?
It's going. So, Jared, maybe you can tell everybody who you are for those that have joined on and are kind of going, who's this Jared guy that they brought on?
Sure. I am one of the principals in Alpha West Marketing Group. We represent 30 manufacturers in the West Coast United States. So, big one regarding chemicals would be Segura. So the GLB, Applied Bio, Leisure Time, Aqua Silk, Ultima, all those brands are owned by Segura. But we also do Century Motors, Lasco Fittings, Filbert Cartridges. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, just about everything.
All the good ones. All the ones
right.
everybody should.
For sure, right?
I like that. All the good ones.
Pretty much.
So times are still wild as we float through July here. So, I get hit up every day as far as what's going on from the distributors everybody buys from. So I'm open to any questions. You could open it up to the audience, and I'll answer to what I know in real time, and it could change in the next 30 minutes. So, I was reading about the Dow chemical facility that had some problems today. I'm not sure if you guys caught that one in the news.
I did not. Yeah.
There was a Dow chemical facility. Looks like it won't hurt our industry at all, which is good news, but it's another chemical facility going offline for a little bit due to a fire. So it just continues to rage.
And it's crazy because I just kind of think to myself, at what point there's got to be like a stopping point, right? There's got to be, and it just feels like it doesn't come,
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that most people don't know is the struggles on the PVC side. So, for example, Cal Hypo is getting more and more popular all over the country. Segura is the largest producer of Cal Hypo. There's plenty of Cal Hypo chemical. The problem is the PVC bucket manufacturers can't supply the buckets at the rate in which the demand is increasing at. So we can produce chemicals, but unless we can package it, your guys are even going to see some of the chemicals on the Leisure Time and Applied Bio, the dry chemicals, start to come in a bag. And I haven't seen the final renderings, but if you guys have ever used that Fiber Clear products, a brand that used to come, it's a cellulose replacement type fiber for DE, comes in a bag with a kind of a locking top. And we're going to start to see chemicals shipped in that as an alternative for a little while because we just can't get the bottles and caps fast enough. So it's all sorts of supply problems, recently with motors, you can get everything, but you can't get one bearing. It's just a wild time right now, watching what the manufacturers are going through, from the supply chain element. It's something I've never seen before.
Yeah, it's absolutely completely crazy out there. And just every industry is just absolutely, taking a beating from every corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're going to see a leveling off of this anytime soon. Unfortunately, it's just a matter of working your relationships with the partners you have, whether that's a manufacturer partner, a distributor partner, and letting them know what your needs are, thinking about what you're going to need in August today, just-in-time manufacturing or just-in-time walking into a distributor as a service professional, which most on this call will be. It's hard to get product in real time. It's near impossible for the distributors to do. So they're moving product around the country to make sure supply is where it needs to be based on demand. But as we, move into the true summer season, you now have Northeast demand came online about a month and a half ago. So that changes the dynamics of where product needs to go and supporting everybody out there, making sure there's enough supply. But I will say, having relationships with reps, yes, I'm a rep, will make a difference. They can tell you, for example, our salt systems are very popular in the Arizona market. We happen to rep CMP, Rep SGS, before that, the Breeze, now the Power Clean. There's 45 units shipped into Arizona every week. That's it. The rest of them go to other spots in the country. I know when and where those 45 are going to land. So customers in the Arizona market may call up and say, hey, can you let me know when the next 45 are landing at ABC Mesa's branch? And I can do that for somebody to make sure they know at 6, 7 in the morning, you better be there because those units are landing, that day. There's stuff like that we can help with. While it's not perfect, it at least helps. It helps you guys secure product out there. But
now, let me ask you this, because somebody asked on here, they're saying wild times. Is it not going to change in the next 5 years? What is, from the chemical standpoint, obviously they're talking about the biolab plant coming on in spring of 2022, and obviously we cross our fingers and we pray that that's the case. But, obviously I think what we'll see is kind of going into the wintertime, the demand goes down. So, I think that will, give a little way there. But do you think that these are going to be some of the challenges that will still continue to be there next year, kind of going into the summertime?
Yeah, I think you guys know that I'm well studied on economics. I like the financial markets, things of that nature. I believe at this time, based on money being cheap, the borrowing rates being cheap, that we're going to see demand level off, but this is the new normal. So like you've seen with BioLab, if you've read about their plant, they're rebuilding that plant with the ability to do up to 30% more capacity than they did previously. They wouldn't need making that capital investment unless they believed that the market's going to settle somewhere at 30% higher than what they were able to produce when that plant went offline in 2020. What was that? The end of 2020 there.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a great point.
There's some manufacturers making tremendous capital investments to keep up and expand. But even machinery is hard to get. If you want to order a new injection molding machine or a CNC machine or any of these type of machinery, you're a year out from having the machine. You may have the real estate for it, but you won't have the machinery for quite some time. So will the manufacturers catch up? Yeah, they'll catch up at some point, but I don't anticipate any slowdown in demand. Most of the large pool builders out there around the country are starting to book into 2022. So you're talking about a contract signed today, dig not started for 2022. I think this is a blessing for the service industry. You guys are going to be blessed for, years to come. That transfer of customer, while it's not fun when you don't have the supply, and I am sympathetic. I have family that is in the service side of the industry, so I understand completely. I do think, there's a wave coming of new pools constantly in almost every market in the United States. And I believe that's a blessing for me as a manufacturer rep. That's more demand of customers to potentially bring on. And that's more customers that hopefully will learn that having a pool professional is a lot easier than cleaning their backyard themselves or doing their pool themselves. I know when I was helping my brother out, I used to tell homeowners, hey, you could either pay 130-ish plus a month and gain back 4 weekend days of your life dealing with your pool yourself. Who wants to run down to the water store when there's 10 other customers in front of you for testing, for the pool store to get your water tested? It's just, what's the money worth to you? That's how I used to sell it to people. I know for me, I know how to take care of my pool. I have an awesome pool service professional here in Arizona that takes care of my own personal pool. I don't want to rush my own pool, to be quite frank. I'd rather pay somebody that's their livelihood and continue supporting customers that need my services when they call. So
yeah, John has somebody service his pool too, by the way.
Yeah, my son.
Perfect. Now, my daughter's only 2 years old. She's not ready to go yet. But when she is, John may hire her, may tell her to come out to
right, for sure.
Spring. Screw Arizona. Come out to California, pay higher taxes, and come clean pools.
right? In 124-degree heat.
Right. Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Something that I'm seeing, and I could completely be off here, but what are your thoughts on inflation? Have you kind of read, have you seen any concerns on that aspect of it?
I have, but there's always wild cards. For example, I thought oil was going to continue to run, and then what was it last week? The Russian nation and the OPEC team decided to say they're going to increase production, and we watched oil overnight drop 10%. That'll affect PVC fitting prices within our industry, and it'll affect everything petroleum based. So, there's always these wild cards out here. Do I think we're going to see some inflation stick? Absolutely. I mean, look, I've never seen a manufacturer price increases come and then years later come off. That usually sticks. What I don't see stick, what we're seeing happen is the surcharge side of things, where there's these temporary surcharges, those will fall off. I don't know if you guys see that on your end, but a lot of that is freight related. Hopefully we'll see more drivers available. Just freight is gone, I have some charts I can share with you that you can share with others. What a shipping container costs from, the three major China ports to the United States at the beginning of 2020 to now. I think it was roughly $700 on average. Today it's $4,000 on average. And then the forwarding cost of the containers, and then from there, warehouse trucking to facilities. It's just gone through the roof. I mean, I know there's manufacturers shipping items right now that their margins have they've disappeared. There's no profit in it. They're just keeping jobs, keeping people employed, and hoping that things come down themselves. So is inflation an issue? Absolutely. Is it temporary? Well, there's the smartest guy in America that's supposedly running the Fed says it is. So let's hope he's right and we're wrong. But I think there's some inflation here to stay, whether we like it or not.
For sure.
I've been seeing some stuff, and I just kind of haven't been able to find anybody to obviously say yes, that's an issue. But I'm kind of seeing it in a lot of the spots, and
So
the same thing,
We're a heavy commodities based industry, right? Metals, your chemicals, your metals, PVC. That stuff's it's not coming down so easily. This is public. I mean, you guys can go on LinkedIn and see all the LASCO price increases. I think we're up 34% cost to the distributors year to date. So is that stopping? I don't know. I mean, regrind pellets are non-existent, which means that virgin pellets are just getting more and more expensive. If demand's going up, and more pools are being built, and we're just a small micro part of the equation. Think about the home building expansion. I mean, every wall has PVC in it. It has copper plumbing in it. It's just, man, I hate to sell doom. I'm not selling doom. I'm actually
it's the new norm.
It's the reality. Yeah,
it's the new norm.
But yeah, we're in for definitely higher prices are here to stay for our industry. I don't see things coming down, and we have regulation, right? Those in California are affected by the CEC regulation that came kind of out of the left field on the fact that single speed motors now are just absolutely not allowed as of July 19th. So they basically copied the federal DOE law, and now rumor has it that the DOE is going to copy the CEC, which is the California Energy Commission. So we're just going crazy with regulations that are also going to drive up costs, right? The consumer ultimately ends up paying, for all these regulations. So it's decarbonization is next. John's going to be effective first in California, but there's a lot of other states. Gas heaters are going to go away on new homes.
Gas heaters,
crazy.
Oh my God!
That's another topic of conversation.
Yeah. Gas heaters.
Another topic. Yeah.
In California, they're definitely going away. The rest of the country, we'll see that. Now, this is new homes. This is somebody buying a new home, building it right now. it's solar and heat pumps. I mean, that's what you got.
But the truth is, Jared, as you know, California does all these crazy things at first, but a year, 2 years, 3, 4 years down the road, everybody starts to follow, right? The majority.
Everybody follows.
You got to be able to read the tea leaves and know that, hey, look, this is coming. You know, same thing with the pumps. It all started in California, right?
Yep.
You know, and here we go. So, it's some interesting times.
Forget politics. We do have a Democratic administration, so we're going to see these regulations go forward faster. They're pro these regulations. You know, it's a profit center for us, the industry, but it's going to be tough on consumer wallets when we're not seeing, you know, back to the inflation conversation. We're not seeing wages increase at the rate in which, you know, these things are expanding at. I just told you PVC fittings are 37% more. Well, the person buying the pool this year, if they have a 37% raw cost difference, their wage didn't go up 37% to compensate that cost of the swimming pool. And that's just one item, you know.
One thing.
Go to rebar, go to electrical wire, go to anything you want, and you would see this same story kind of playing out. So,
yeah,
you know,
and especially in those markets. In the market that I'm at, it's very, very heavy on brand new build, and I'm telling you, even to get a plumber or electrician, you have got to pull, and you know they're like, yeah, we could be out in like 3 weeks to take a look at it, and you're like, well, my water heater's not working. We can book you for 3 weeks if you want. It's just absolutely crazy.
The scariest part is we're starting to see the unlicensed work happen again, and that's the scary part. I see it from the warranty side. I get a homeowner call. You know, they get my number off, you know, CMP's website, let's say, or any of the manufacturers that sell more consumer-facing goods. And I go out there and, you know, first question I ask is, who did the work? I would like to speak to them directly. I like not to throw anybody under the bus with the homeowner. I'd rather have private conversation, find the best solution. Always willing to help, but these people are gone. You call, you leave messages, nobody returns it. They're gone. They're MIA. They were working under one name yesterday. They're under a new name today. They got a new Google Voice phone number. It's so, you know, you guys are gonna continue to see that too as these pools move over. You know, the water takes the path of least resistance. When you start having plumbing going all over the place and you want to know why your waterfall's not working properly, you know, it's expensive to have me digging trenches. I charge more than the guy that does it professionally. So, you know.
Let's talk about surcharges, right?
So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If I'm out there digging plumbing, somebody's getting the bill.
Sure.
Somebody's paying triple.
Paying well if I'm digging that.
So,
amen.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, look, if anybody from around the country, you know, my phone number's on our alphawest.com website. If you guys got a question about what's going on in the marketplace, I'm fortunate to represent a lot of manufacturers in each category. I do have a good pulse as to what's going on. Just be ready. You may hear things you don't want to hear. I'm a truth teller. I'm pretty transparent. That tends to bite me in the butt sometimes, but, you know, it is what it is. I want you guys to be armed, and the more knowledge you have, the better you can communicate with your customers, ultimately the homeowners. It's really cool to see on the other side of it, seeing these homeowners step up and be, you know, wanting to endorse the industry at times. You know, I'm starting to see some of that come out, which is really good to see, that we're just not getting the raw end of the deal when it comes to communication. And those that communicate best with their customers are ultimately going to end up having the best stickiness long term, even if it's tough news that, hey, look, I know I used to service your pool this way. We're going to change the chemicals up. It's going to take a little bit to transition, you know, so on and so on and so on. You know, I'm no longer going to be, you know, stacking your rainbow feeder anymore. That's going to run dry for a little while.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And, and the cost side, and, we did a podcast on it and talked about the whole communication thing and how crucial that is. And people are, for the most part, people are very understanding when you have conversations because it's going on around all over the world. It's not just our industry. So.
And, we can roll tape, but I think I was on the third podcast you guys ever did on the Podbeam, and I said, hey, trichlor is going to cost you $150 plus a bucket. And
oh, yes.
The crowd.
You did. You did. And that was very early on in our conversation.
Correct. And here we are. I mean, we're well above 150 in most markets. Occasionally I've seen some 130 prices out there at distribution, but it doesn't last long. Yeah, I mean, it's and today as a supplier of trichlor, I can only supply 25-pound buckets. I don't have any 50-pound buckets. So a distributor calls me today and they want to order trichlor. And on our end, we've already limited. They can only order 100% of what they ordered in the prior year's quarter. So if they're even experiencing demand of 50-70% spikes, I can't give up the inventory. So there's nothing I can do. I would love to be able to charge them more for it and at least get them there and make some deals. Can't be done. You ordered 100 buckets in third quarter last year of GLB tablets, and that wasn't your preferred vendor that year. I apologize. You're only allowed 100 buckets in the third quarter this year, and that's happening everywhere. I mean, I know I can't share anything on here. I don't think I can, but in the Pacific Northwest, speaking of BioLab, there were signs up in the retailer, BioLab signs saying, effective immediately, all trichlor-based products, dichlor-based, cal-hypo, and monopersulfate oxidizers and kits containing said products are on temporary hold until further notice. These are actual signs in retailers in the Pacific Northwest, branded by BioLab. BioLab is putting this, or BioGuard is putting this out. So this is not something self-created. This is, and for anybody that knows, most of the Pacific Northwest is all, these dealer direct type accounts that deal with BioGuard and, Pool Life, which is the other side of Segura, not something I handle. So for them to be completely out of product for their consumer, what isn't being discussed is how much those people get hurt too, because as a consumer, if I walk in and you don't have, first thing I'm looking for is chlorine, I'm walking out the door to a place I could buy chlorine, which means my kid's not running around the store. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter who will buy every toy in the store if I give her 15 minutes there. So I'm not buying the toys. I'm not buying the floats. I'm not buying the new thermometer because mine's all fogged out. This is a lot of lost revenue for our industry by not being able to supply on that end of the spectrum. So it's tough. I sympathize with everybody on it.
Right. So long term, if we look at it, how long do you think it's going to be 2-3 years, just ballpark, before everything starts to settle down somewhat?
So, based on just being a student of the market, the federal government has said we're not raising interest rates till the end of 2022. You will see no change in the market demand until they raise the interest rate. Still, it's more expensive to borrow money because, people are able to buy, assets, whether it's stock, homes, whatever it is. And, they're, even an average Joe that buys a $250,000, $300,000 starter house, bought it last year, he's got $60,000 in equity to go play with. He's all of a sudden building a pool in his backyard. It's, and as long as the borrowing cost is 2.5, 3.5, somewhere in those ranges, it's not going to stop. It's just not. And those people are competing with investors who also can borrow that money cheap, if not even cheaper. So as long as we continue to see that demand, that ultimately drives our industry is where interest rates sit on the home side of things. As long as that stays low, and the Fed's telling us they're going to keep it low, and same for companies. Like if I'm we just saw this. Floridra bought CMP. So I guess today I could say I'm a Zodiac employee for the moment. But I joked, and some of us joked that we used to sell generic Polaris cleaner parts. Well, today they're not generic anymore. They're always originals.
Right.
True. And they're cheaper. So
cheaper.
Are they going to stay that way, though?
Who knows? I'm not in charge of running it. But
Pentair labeled right on the side. Let's go.
But where I was going with that is companies can go to what's known as the bond market without getting too complicated with things and borrow from bondholders. If they want to buy another company, they don't even have to use their cash. They don't have to use any of their cash. They're going out there, if they're publicly traded, which Pentair is, Floridra is, Hayward is now.
Hayward is. Yeah, they all are. Yeah.
Latham is. I joke, I've been a rep for 14 years. We grew up in the last 14 years as an industry. The fact that we have so many publicly traded companies, and the reason is, we've watched Pool Corp stock go like a rocket ship. I think it trades around crazy a share today. And good management team. They've ran that company very well. Still to this day, they got more products by like 40,000 SKUs in each building than the next closest distributor. Now, we're starting to see the emergence of FWP buying PEP, APS. They're expanding. So I think we're on the verge of the next national distributor, but who knows what's going to happen. But these companies can literally go to the bond market never using any of their cash you're talking 4%, 5%, and get 10-year terms on that money. So they're going out and they're going to buy up the CMPs of the world. They're going to buy up, Hayward bought Paramount. We're going to continue to see consolidation in our industry at all levels. So as long as the money's cheap, no change in demand.
There's not going to be any change. Yeah.
No way in hell.
No.
I am betting the house on it, literally. No way. No way. That anything changes with no interest rates.
And that's a great point. That's the great driver right there.
So the money, plus they printed, $3 trillion, and today they tried to do another trillion in infrastructure spend. So, that's going to put more roads out to more places to build more homes. So, yeah. And looking at the chart, I think the number's somewhere around, we're building like 1.3 million homes a year. And if just to meet supply demand, we have to be at like 2.5 million. We don't have the lumber. Yeah. We don't have the labor. We're never going to catch up there. So we really need a change in demand. But don't wish that, because it's not good for any of us.
Right. Yeah.
Wish for way too much demand, and that capital investment continues to be made by quality manufacturers, and they build new facilities, hopefully here in the U.S., so we don't have that lag anymore from overseas. That's a big problem. Build it here, pay good wages, build a little bit better product, make it last a little longer. These are all things that could help. But
are you seeing any trend of that? I know, like an example, Intel is investing, I don't know how many millions of dollars to bring some plants to the U.S., but are you seeing any other big companies doing that, where they're kind of bringing it into manufacturing here?
Yeah, I mean, look, Taiwan Semiconductor, Intel, all building in Phoenix, right? The semiconductor industry is kind of the first wave to do it. Within Pool, it's micros, and it's mostly making acquisitions and then using that facility, because it has expanded, it has capacity. For example, will Floridra definitely use part of CMP's facility for things that they can stamp out in high volume? Absolutely. And that'll make them more efficient and a better supplier, to the industry. But building a brand new facility and investing in machinery and things like that, I haven't seen it among my manufacturers yet, but if you didn't see, Lasco was sold 2 weeks ago. It's in the quiet period for 60 days till they close it, but they'll be owned by Westlake Chemical, the same supplier of caustic chemicals to some of your favorite liquid suppliers. So we're seeing, and that'll be a massive infusion of cash in Lasco. So will Lasco open up? Brownsville, Tennessee is where the manufacturing facility is, and then they have distribution centers all over. Could we see another manufacturing facility? Absolutely. It would make a lot of strategical sense. They're going to be under NAPCO, which is one of the largest pipe companies in the world. So you may see pipes start to come through Lasco. So you'll have Lasco fittings and Lasco pipe, which means you're consolidating vendors at the distributor level, which speeds up the whole cycle. They don't have to wait for two suppliers. It all comes from one supplier. It's easier for them to buy, less tension. So there is some good things happening on that end, but it's I don't want to get too crazy with it. It's just slow. These companies now are no longer your small little entities. You're talking, hundreds of millions and $billion companies. To move those cruise ships are difficult. It's not so easy.
I mean, and you look at all those ports and you got all those ships. You got the other day I was talking to somebody. I don't know if it was LA, had 37 ships just sitting out there parked, just waiting.
Yeah.
37 of them just parked out there like a parking lot, just waiting.
Yeah. I mean, I got some pumps coming in, I hope, to supply in time for the winter. Now we're getting rain in some parts of the country. The rest of the country wishes for rain, but, and that's the other thing. I mean, look, California, Arizona, Nevada. I saw last night on the news, like, if Lake Mead gets down to a certain level, they're going to shut off the water supply to everywhere but Nevada because the Hoover Dam won't be able to function. Just some crazy stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I got pumps on the water. They're going to come into Long Beach. I've seen things sit in Long Beach for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I can literally, satellite Google through the freight companies, the container.
And just watch it.
It's just watch it go nowhere. I mean,
right.
And that's because they don't have enough dock workers to offload. That's a big. And here's the other thing. If you think about it, so our industry, we're obviously in a big high demand now, but as we start to wean off of the summertime, then you really kind of get a lot of the bigger companies that go into their peak demand, right? So you start to go into the Christmas season, and that's where the home goods and clothing and all that kind of stuff. So the question is, will we see the same problem that we're experiencing in our industry, but now just kind of shift off to other industries? Well, the good news for our industry is that the manufacturers do what's called an early buy for the distributor houses. And the reason why they do that is the distributors will look out at their demand for X period of time and order. And that keeps production going in the winter. If they didn't do that, they wouldn't produce anything and we would be in more trouble. So based on very, very preliminary conversations, distributors are looking out at 22 and saying, yeah, we're going to see another 21 and they're ordering appropriately. It'll be on the manufacturers at that point to supply. 21, we got caught a little offsides. People didn't know there was people thought everybody was going to go back to spending their money on hotels and travel, and maybe the backyard slows down. And then here we have another wild card, this Delta variant that's going all over the place. And do we end up seeing even more demand because people are shoved back into their homes, or they get scared to go out, so they're using their homes again as their hotel vacation in their backyard? And then, it's wild. I mean, I have these type of chats all day from 5 a.m. in the morning till when somebody tells me to shut the hell up and go to bed. I love it though. I love our industry. I've been a rep since I was 19 years old. I think the manufacturers are doing everything they can. A lot of them are learning in real time the mistakes they made going into this. and they're pivoting to the best of their ability. Other ones, need to make investments to catch up to those that are a little bit ahead. But yeah, I think everybody's trying really, really hard. And people are just working to exhaustion. So, we're at that phase where emotions are running high. A lot of the calls I take are, they start out with a lot of anger, and, they usually end in an appreciation for what each party's going through. But yeah, I mean, most of the time my phone rings, it's usually out of anger and high levels of frustration.
Right. And I think a lot of times what happens is, we don't know what that market entails and what, like you're saying, kind of what they're going through. And as soon as you're able to explain that to people understand, right? Because they see what it is that's going on from that side. But it's just like you said, it's crazy. Emotions are running really high. Frustrations are running really, really high. I think for us and for the service side, you got some guys that, their livelihoods are obviously, titter-tottering, and that's where it becomes, very, very emotional.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's for all of us, right? The difference between rep groups is, I guess it could be the good and the bad. We're commission reps. We're paid to sell. When product doesn't ship and there's nothing to pay for, we don't get paid either.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, winters are tough, and they're really tough when nobody's shipping any product. So therefore, nobody's going to pay. So I'm doing a podcast with some of the football. I got the family asking, "What the hell's going on? What are you doing?"
It's all good. Backyard bliss. We're going to get to your question. We're not ignoring you. We're just kind of having a conversation here. But John, we have a question from Backyard Bliss, and we'll answer
sit on my lap or whatever.
Absolutely. Have her come over and say hi. Bring her in.
You want to say hi to everybody, Aria? No.
So hey, Jared, I got a question. So
yeah, I got like 10 more minutes. So let's go to
absolutely
rapid fire Q&A, and then I got to give the family some of my time.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Hey, look, we're saying that the manufacturers got caught with their pants down basically in 2021. But from what you're telling us is that we're not seeing it let up at all, especially going into 2022, right? That we're going to be in the same position. I can understand from a business standpoint or from a manufacturing standpoint that, hey, there's a huge increase or influx in demand, right? And does it make sense to invest X amount of capital, so much capital for a short period of demand because they feel it's going to fall off, right? And then now they invested $100 million or $500 million into a facility that can produce X amount, but in 6 months we're going to be back down to normal levels, and the extra 50% capacity that we have is just going to be there, right? It's a waste of money. I get that. And they're figuring out we're just going to ride this out as much as we can with what we got. But if this is an ongoing trend and now we're going to see this through 2022, that's a lot of lost revenue and it's a tough position everybody's going to be in. Do you see any manufacturers that now are kind of changing their frame of mind and are going to be putting money, like some of the big ones, like, Pentair, Fluidra, some of the companies out there that are actually going to be putting money into new plants and stuff? And I know you kind of touched on it, but it's like, have they changed their mindset and said, hey, look, we're not just going to ride this out. We know this is the new norm, might not be at 100% in 2020 at the end of 2022, but now it might be a 125. Are they going to compensate for that?
Yeah. So I can't speak for the big three. I learn the same way everybody outside of the C-suite learns. So I'm looking up right now. We're going to see, Pentair's, everybody's going into their earnings announcement. So let's see.
And everybody's going to do great, right?
But let me address your question directly. So what happens is on 7/27. So we're 6 days away from Pentair coming out with earnings. And what they do is they get on these earning calls and they rave about what they did. But there's a second part, and that's the guidance. And in the guidance, they will tell you whether or not they're making a capital cash investment and where they're making it. So if you're asking me so far, no, there's been I haven't seen anything come out yet that says that they are going, plenty of acquisitions. There's plenty of conversation about acquisitions. And does that give them some capacity and bandwidth? Perhaps. But I get on these conference calls for fun. People think I'm freaking crazy. But I get on them. I listen to them for an hour, go blah, blah, blah. Here's our numbers. Here's our EBITDA. Here's which sectors, yada, yada, yada. But the only thing I care about is guidance. I want to know what the smartest minds in our industry, the CEOs that are paid millions of dollars to be right. And to answer your question directly, some are going to bet wrong. We've seen that even at big company levels. Now, how bad has GE made their bets over the last few years? Other companies make great bets. So we're going to see different C-suites make different decisions as we move forward here. Within our manufacturers, like for example, Regal Beloit, who makes Century Motors, big publicly traded companies, they moved everything to Juarez, Mexico. They're boosting their facility. That Juarez facility is going to crank out motors like we've never seen before. It's impeccable. I love it. It means I'm going to be able to take out my competitor if they don't make the same strategic move. Fortunately we have good market share already, but it comes down to the bets the C-level executives make. And look, I'm just a rep. While I've been fortunate to be invited to some big time conversations and get a seat at the table, I'm just an independent guy, expensible. They can fire us in 30 days. Boom, we're done. We're finding another rep firm. So, but I do listen. I do pay attention. I do think they're going to have to make those that want to win are going to make investments. Absolutely. Or you're going to see new companies come along. You're going to see manufacturers that never had market share. I'm seeing it now. Spec Pump, for example, we represent.
That's a great point.
Major player
That's a great
in the
point.
commercial market. I couldn't give away a residential variable speed pump a year ago. Today, people are begging for them. Why? Because there's
none around.
There's nothing else. And it's funny that you say that because I know guys out here that are telling me, they're like, we're getting spec pumps and that's what we're putting in.
They're seizing the opportunity.
And the reality is there's a wet end produced by spec. Judge it against the other manufacturers however you want. We won't go into that right now. I'm not here to sell anything. The rear end is either a Century product or a U.S. Motor product.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. And both of those companies make a great product.
Yeah. So
if you can look at the wet, and I love it. I got a spec pump on my pool right now. My favorite part is I gets late at night. I go, shit, the storm just came. There's a freaking light on my pump lid. I can see if that pump basket needs to be cleaned out or not. I love it. It's a little neat feature that nobody else puts on it, so I think it's cool. I sell that over the rest. I even have in my office here. Here's a nice spec basket. I show people all the basket all the time on Zoom calls. Come on, it's a heavy duty plastic basket. It is what it is. I think we've played favoritism to the big manufacturers in the industry for a long time. And some of these smaller players are going to prove themselves over the next year. And by the way, they can supply. They're not at their maximum capacity.
I hope so. It would be nice to see some other players kind of get into the game.
It's happening to those that are. There's those that are open to it and those that aren't. And I respect both decisions. But I think you're crazy not to try one. You don't know what you don't know. Right. So, and that comes for all products. So all manufacturers.
No, I think it's interesting times, for when we go through these little, we've never been through anything like this before, but when we do have times where a manufacturer's having an issue or we go through a little bump in the road, loyalty plays a big part. And, a lot of guys and gals out there will hold off and stay loyal. But nowadays that's out the window, right?
There is no loyalty right now.
There is no loyalty
none
right now.
It
and
doesn't
it's
exist.
Survival of the fittest. And I think what you're saying is perfect, Jared, is everybody needs to look at other options, right? We just can't walk and say, oh, this door's closed. You got to start looking around and figuring out a way to make it happen. There are other manufacturers out there. There are other ways to get through this.
And John, you've had a real experience. You tried a product that I endorsed and didn't have a great experience at first with it, right?
Yep.
What made the difference there? The fact that you had the bat phone to call.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I got you taken care of.
Absolutely.
I truly believe most reps, not all, but most reps, they want a customer to have a good experience. But at least independent reps especially, because look, if I burn you on one product, why would you buy the other 29 we represent? You would be crazy to.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll just give you your money back. This is not worth it.
Yep.
I'd rather earn your business somewhere else where it makes business sense for you. So there's plenty of call it the mid-cap companies of our industry, that are out there. I mean, I just had a call today, somebody looking for 24-inch DE filters. Can't get them anywhere. They called me up. Where am I going to get you 24-inch DE filters? And I said, have you called Waterco? That is a company nobody calls for filtration. They're massive in filtration. I said, call Waterco. I don't rep them, but talk to the product manager. If they don't have it and you need 500 a year of these 24-inch DE filters, I'm sure they're going to be interested. I sure as hell would be if I'm the product manager for DE filters. I can go, yeah, we make this. I got a 500 unit customer on board tomorrow. Hell yeah.
You know what I think might be a great thing to do, Jared, and maybe something if you want to, if you can help us out with, is maybe come up with a list of some of these alternatives like the spec pumps, right? That I guarantee you 99.9% of everybody on this live and the majority of people that are on Instagram or on social media have no clue about it, right? Have zero clue.
Absolutely.
Because they have no visibility and they have it's not in their SVP, it's not in their PEP, right? They just don't see it. They're not exposed to it. So they don't have an idea. They don't know what they don't know. Yeah. So how do we come up with a list of these things where maybe we can show alternatives and give them different avenues or channels that they can acquire these products so that they don't lose sales or they don't lose customers, or they can be that service company or that repair company or that builder that becomes a hero and can capitalize on this opportunity, because that's what's important. So, here in my area, it's rough, right? And we have 120 some degrees. I got guys calling me. I got stores. I got customers I get phone calls on the daily. My guy just quit. He stopped doing pools. My pool's turning green. We don't have chlorine. We can't do this. We can't do that. And it's like, to me, this situation is like, it's tough for us because we've had to adapt, but we were prepared. We spoke about this a year ago and we talked about this. So we've done everything we possibly can to prepare for this situation. It's a little harder on us now, but we got the goods and we're making it through this, right? And as long as we're not deep into 2022, we're going to be all right. You know what I mean? I think we're going to be okay. And for us, at least. And we're capitalizing on this, and we're actually gaining more and more. I can't tell you how many more clients we've gained in the last month because of it.
It's a saying of, fail to plan to fail.
Yep.
Right? Okay, you could be in a deep hole right now, but you start planning how to climb the hell out of it, you probably could get there, right? And there's some good people out there that are willing to help. And look, I'm seeing I'm looking at the comments. Spec pump's a name people haven't heard about.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's one of the largest companies in our industry.
I know for sure.
They just happen not
commercial.
to play in the residential U.S. Actually, in other parts of the world, it's very popular. It just happens that they don't play in the U.S. residential market. They haven't even tried. And if it wasn't for me bringing it up and a few of the great guys on my team, I don't think we would be doing any sales with it. But we came to learn how difficult it is for everybody. And look, what I suggest, and here's another one they're bringing up, global handrails and ladders, right? We used to rep Interfab. Interfab got bought by SR Smith. SR Smith has, what appeared to be a monopoly on the surface. Global's this little company in Bad Axe, Michigan. Well, they were little yesterday. Now they're massive. Right. And their handrails are available at distribution. And if you need a powder coated one, till recently it was like 5-7 business days. We've started to get a little bit further out, but still we're killing the competitor. And look, nobody knows the difference between a 1.90D 3-bend handrail that's 0.49 or 0.65 to an F. You pull them out of the box and you wouldn't tell me the difference. So it's stuff like that yes, should we be all talking about. Now look, I'm a sales rep. I want to sell products, so I don't want to come off as just a sales guy. So look, what I would do and what I would work with the manufacturers to do is there's some really good talent in this roster of 26 professionals on here now. And sometimes more, sometimes less. But, plenty of these manufacturers are willing to let you guys vet the product. Put it out there. Try it on. Tell us what you like about it and what you don't like about it. Actually, the best thing you could do is say what you don't like about it, because you know what that gives a spec type company the ability to do? Now you're talking about speedboats versus cruise ships. You want Pentair or Jandy or Hayward to change something on a product?
There you go.
It's years.
John and I talk about it all the time.
Spec. I can call the president of the company. The president can call the engineer that designed the damn part. He goes into his little CAD drawing.
And it's implemented that week,
makes
right?
Makes a 3D prototype, sends it out to John. John, hey, is this what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yep.
And boom, you just helped innovate a better product into the marketplace. So,
somebody's asking here.
Maybe we can do that, or we can come up with like alternatives, Jared. Of some of the products that people, like the handrails, like you're talking about, like the pumps, like filters.
Somebody else
like that.
brought that up. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Just bring it so that we can post it and we can put it out there so that we can make a push. And guys, tell everybody out there, hey, look, there's some options.
Akron Chris for doing that there. Shout out to that guy.
I think it's a great idea.
Somebody on here says they have a technical question. Feel free to ask, and we will get to it.
CC Elite. This guy's a big endorser. I don't know who he is, but he's might work for me. I got to figure out who he is. It's so tough with these names.
Akron Chris, right?
For those that don't know, CCH Elite and Endurance is part of Segura as well.
Yeah.
That's the Cal Hypo slow dissolved tablets and the feeders that go with it, which is taking off to the point where that one's making me a little nervous now.
Yeah. Let me tell you, there's people out here that are using it and they're shifting, man.
Chris he must be up in Northern California somewhere, because Corey Wax works on our team and covers actually all of Northern California, really to the Reno area and Nevada, all the way across the Bay Area. I don't know how that guy does it, but he's a machine and way more knowledgeable on that type of stuff than even I am. We got some good people on our team too. I would love to invite them in. They could speak better about some of these products than I even can. I've unfortunately been removed from the field these days as much as I used to be, as I've been fortunate to be a partner in the firm today and help manage the team that's out there. But Corey's an awesome guy. Love and respect that he's on our team. Hopefully he never leaves. So, how do I make a grease plate grease plug to seal? I use marine grease. It ends up leaking. I end up using silicone sealant to seal it in. Some of you guys might have better tricks than I do to suggest there on that question. Yep. That was a technical question that I think he wanted to throw out. Do you have a particular brand?
So, guys, if anybody wants to answer that, if not, John and I will kind of take some notes and message him over directly and kind of get to that. So, anyways. All right, Jared. So we want to look at that. We've been talking for an hour, and we can probably go for another 2 hours easily.
No, I think this is good, Jared, and I want to thank you because look, this is what people need to hear this, right? And it's sometimes when you tell the truth and you say this, it might not be what people want to hear, but it's what people need to know so that they can prepare themselves and they can figure out what's going to happen and not just say, oh, I can get by one more week, or if I can just do this or just do that, it'll pass. And then eventually you're going to get caught with your pants down, right? And you're going to be throwing your hands up in panic mode and you're not going to be able to figure it out. And we're talking about livelihoods here. The majority of the pool people that are out there servicing pools are one poolers, or people that, they depend on those 50, 60, 70 pools that they service a week. And when they lose 10, 20, we're talking about families that are going to go hungry and homes are, it's tough. And
it's real. Yeah.
It is real. And right now is not the time to not take this serious. And we've been preaching this for a year now. And
for a year.
It's only getting worse.
Jared, you were on almost a year ago, and that was a conversation. But almost a year ago, and that was a conversation we were having.
I know. Like I said, I think it's going to level off, but this is the new norm.
It's a new,
So what I would suggest, what I would close with, and this is business strategy, is get yourself a credit line, whether it's through your distributor or you go and secure it privately. Whatever you got to do, and figure out what your usage was from July 21st, 2020 through July 21st, 2021. Walk into the distributor and say, I want to buy all of next year's product today. And I want a deal to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next distributor and do it. And secure all that product on the best terms you can. And then sell it, use it, get rid of it before that payment comes due. That's what you got to do. That's how distributors run, by the way. But if you don't secure your product now for the next calendar year or fiscal year starting July 21st, 2021, then you didn't plan. And then don't. And I know that's hard because some guys can't secure the credit lines to do it, but you got to do it as much as you can because you have to secure product. And remember, if you secure product today, I can tell you price increases are coming.
Oh yeah,
they're coming.
Oh yeah,
it's going to appreciate it.
So you're going to save. Just even if you don't get a deal, you're going to save probably 7% on that.
You can Craigslist that shit for $300-400 more.
So there you go. Who knew
you'll make your money back?
But John, here's what I want. Here's what I want to make very clear to everybody. We were having the conversation a year ago, and maybe half a year ago. We started talking about the business model needed to shift, and that was that you needed to look at stuff 60 days out. That you needed to change your business mindset. And here we are going into this heavy season, and that's changing again. And Jared is on here saying, you need to now not look at it that way, but you need to look even longer term strategy from a business standpoint.
So, 1 year. If you're not
1 year,
1 year, everybody else ahead of you is looking 1 year. Manufacturers 1 year, distributors looking 1 year. If they don't know your usage for 1 year, if they have no idea that you're expanding your business by 20% next year, that's what you want to do. That's what John wants to do. John wants to do 50% next year. And you don't tell them they got to have 50% more chemical ready for your expansion. Yeah. How can they plan for that? They don't know that's your goal.
True. Yep.
Can't be done. So don't be upset if they don't know that they need 50% more chemical. Because John's going to go on this crazy marketing campaign with his new door flyers. I think I saw that you were doing that somewhere on Instagram last week. Or whatever you were doing, I don't know. I'm not paying attention, but
what was I
hanging out door hangers, John.
Was I doing door hangers?
So
was I?
It may have not been you. I don't know, but let's just say. But anyway, look, I sincerely appreciate you guys bringing me on. I wasn't expecting to do this. I try to listen in the background when I can to know what's important to you guys. I know at times I've chimed in DM to some people about what's going on, but My daughter's going to kill me if I don't get off here.
Thanks, Jared.
Hey, absolutely. Jared, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. We'll talk soon. I'll give you a call. Okay. Adios. So, John, we start to have that was, and here's, I don't know how
needed.
And that's where it's at, John. And it's like, we're seeing it. It's not just our industry, like everybody's seeing it, but here's the thing that I want everybody to take from this. And that is that the conversation is even changing now, and that your business strategy has to change. We went from just talking about doing business from 60 days out, right?
Yeah.
But you guys out there, you're going to go into a situation where what's going to happen, John, and write it down, because this is what's going to happen. Wintertime is going to happen. And what happens to us during the wintertime? We drop our guard because everything slows down, right? The chlorine demand is gone. A lot of that busyness, you'll still have issues with equipment and stuff like that. But by the time that you close your eyes and open your eyes, it's going to be spring again. And you're going to be right back into this mess, right? So to all you business guys out there listening to this Instagram Live, is you need to understand that the way that you used to run your business a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, those days are gone. And if you don't adapt and you don't change and you start to forecast and you start to look at other options, you're going to be in that boat where you're just running around, killing yourself, frustrated, screaming because you're not prepared to be able to handle what's coming.
No, absolutely. Look, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and we're all going through this. It's a struggle, and like we were talking, it's unprecedented. We had some foresight. We talked about it, but did we even beyond it? Did we think it was going to be this bad? Absolutely
no.
Right? We knew it was going to be bad, but this bad, no way, right? And it's like I just can't even imagine what position I'd be if we did not prepare ahead of time for this. And I can only feel. I mean, I understand the frustration that everybody's going through right now because it's tough. But the truth is, the writing is on the walls, and heed the warning right now. Heed the warning right now. Get your shit together. It is not the time to throw your hands up and say this or say this or say that. It's time for you to start hustling. Everybody who owns a pool service company, who's a small business owner, who's an entrepreneur, you are a different breed, right? You are not like the normal people. You are a hustler, right? You know what it takes. You know how to grind. You know how to work hard, especially in the pool industry. So you need to take this as an opportunity instead of a slap in the face and throwing your head up against the wall and saying, I'm screwed or I'm effed or whatever. You know what I mean? Take this right now and seize the opportunity and turn this lemon into lemonade, because I'm telling you, is for those that you can either look at it as just like doom and gloom, right? And the end of the world, or you look at it as an opportunity. No, or you can look at it as an opportunity and figure out how you're going to capitalize and how you're going to turn this into a profit and how you're going to expand and grow your business, right? This is the time. This is your time to shine right now. Exactly. 0% luck, 100% grind. This is where you need to capitalize right now. And it's like I said, it's survival of the fittest right now. And you guys got to figure out what you need to figure out, but we're here for you. Feel free to message us, talk to us. I know we were going to talk about some other things on this live, and obviously we've kind of gone a little further. I can smell my dinner on the dinner table right now. So we're not going to be able to go any further, but, I think what we need to do maybe next Wednesday, or maybe do another one before then, and another live, Edgar, and then kind of talk about some of the
we definitely need to
doing.
talk to we need to talk about the alternatives that we want to talk about and that kind of stuff. We need to address that. Who was it? I had somebody here that was asking a chemical question. Can you do me a favor? I know that we said that we were going to address it. DM me directly, and I'll talk to you about the alternatives that we were talking about and what to do. You're out here in Texas. I'm out here in Texas.
I'm trying to find it.
It was Blue something. It was Backyard Bliss Pools. So Backyard Bliss Pools, if you are on here, send me a message. DM me, and then we'll get you an answer to your question so that it can get addressed out there. And he was asking, my local SCP is out of chlorine except liquid. That'll be next. What are service companies doing to control algae each week without any chlorine in the Texas 100-degree dog heat? It's fixing to be a really bad situation. So we'll address that. Backyard Bliss, send me a message and we'll kind of answer that for you. So, but we're going to close this live with the same thing, John, and that is, we talked about it before. We talked, I don't think we thought it was going to be this bad, but knowing that this is going to be the trend and that this is not going to change.
Yeah, I mean,
we're going to have to continue to yell about this. Yep.
You heard it. And look, Jared is one thing I know, and I've known Jared for a little while now, and everything he said, he's very truthful, very upfront, very blunt, and that's why I enjoy talking to him. And when he speaks, I listen. And if he's telling us this, he's not bullshitting it, right? You know, it's the truth. This is what it is. Not only, we were kind of going through the issue with products, right? And, you know, products is one thing, and that's a little bit tough, more towards builders. But then once we started getting the chemical shortage, everybody kind of forgot about the product and who cares. Now we're looking at chemicals, trying to figure it out. And then now we're saying, hey, look, product isn't catching up, and now we're just screwed. Right? We don't have any of it, and there's really no end in sight. So if this issue is going to be the same issue with manufacturing when it comes down to product,
it is.
It's going to be the same issues with chemicals.
Next summer, we're going to be having the same conversation.
It's going to be the same thing that's going on, guys. We got to figure this out right now and figure out plans and look for alternatives and ways you can combat this and start planning ahead. And do not react to a situation. You need to act on a situation, right? You need to sit down, plan ahead, figure out, okay, here it is. The cards are on the table. It's going to be a shit show until 2022. All right. You heard it here.
You heard it.
Shit show. So what are we going to do to make the best out of this right now? And, I think a lot of our content moving forward, we're just going to start to talk more and more about some of the things that I've done, that we've done, that you can do so that you can kind of heed the storm or weather the storm. I'm sorry, and we can come up ahead actually, and better than we were when we first started. So. Cool.
All right, John. So before we drop off, I'm going to give a big shout out to Bree, which is my daughter, which came on here, John. She's going to be going to Oklahoma to go to Oklahoma State University. And I just want her to know here, I'm going to confess in front of everybody, I'm going to be crying on the 11th, which is the night of the podcast. So be prepared.
On the 11th, we were just talking a week ago and you were crying. You were bawling on the phone.
So here's the thing, John. You come out the 9th, we hang out, you leave the 10th. I got to drive her up to the University of Oklahoma is actually the University of Oklahoma, and I got to drive her up. So I'm going to be crying like a baby. So just confession there. All right, guys. John, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. We will talk tomorrow. Guys, hope you guys have a great night. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.
Good night.